when you're no longer pregnant, you're kind of pushed to the side. I mean, you are, and that's rightfully so. There's a whole human now. But you have to still take care of yourself and you have to, make yourself more of the center of attention sometimes. And you have to be able to ask for what you need. Did you feel like you needed more support than you were getting, just like from doctors or just society in general? Like, how did you feel about that?
Yeah, so I think, mental health postpartum, I think
Mhm,
is just so important.
mhm,
For me personally, like I definitely like had the support that I needed. Like you go to those checkups and they make you fill out a
mhm,
questionnaire about, like postpartum depression and things like
mhm,
that. Um, and I don't know if it was because I had my son in January where the weather was just so like doom and gloom all the time. Um, but I didn't realize, I think, until 3 weeks postpartum that I just mentally was not fully there.
mhm,
Um, and it was like I woke up one day and I felt like this fog had lifted.
mhm,
And I think like that's the best way to describe it is I didn't realize I wasn't feeling my best.
mhm,
But until I felt that fog lift, I was like, wow, this whole time I have not like
mhm,
mentally been there.
mhm,
Um, and I do feel like there is probably more that like society can do to like, help women through that. But luckily, my husband was home with me those first like 2 months. And
mhm,
just like having him there and having that support and him like being able to lean on him and kind of taking the brunt of things with like nighttime, changes and things like that. It really helped me kind of like focus a little bit more on myself to try and get me to where I needed to be mentally.
mhm.
But
Yeah.
I think that's definitely something that needs to be talked about, or like expecting moms um, is to just kind of like know to ask for help if you need it. Like don't feel like you have to take everything on,
Yeah.
and it's okay to ask for help and to not like feel any shame in that because like you do need it. Like postpartum hormones just play a role too, and
Mhm.
it's a lot. It's very overwhelming not to just be home with a newborn, but for you to be balancing all those emotions and hormones and feelings. It's just a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I did feel like, um, also scared that, like, the other shoe was gonna drop. I was like, "Okay, I'm okay, I think." Like, nobody's fully okay after being cut open or pushing out a child, and then, like, your whole life is upside down, you're not sleeping. Just
Yeah.
baseline at that point, you're not doing great, but then, like, just the thought as somebody who already has a history of mental illness and anxiety and depression and all of that kind of hanging over my head, I'm like, when is something going to happen? So
Right.
I think, the most important thing is to recognize it and really like, even if you see people on social media talking about this, it's not talked about as much as it should be. Like, I
No.
shouldn't feel uncomfortable talking about how I have a history of mental illness. Like, it's just a thing and it's like having a broken arm. It's like having, like a throwing out your back. You have to just be careful moving forward. You have to be cognizant of it. And I think something that helped me was just going to therapy, changing out my medications and being honest about it. And
Yeah.
even though there are those questionnaires, I mean, 6 weeks 6 weeks after you have a kid, you go back, like,
Yeah.
that's crazy to me. I went before that because I had to, but it's still pretty crazy to me that it's not needed.
Yeah. And that circles back to like what you said earlier about like, once you have the baby, you are kind of put on the back burner and
Mhm,
like it's really all about them. So no one's checking on you. Like
mhm.
it all becomes about them, which like rightfully so.
Right.
Um, but it's just like the moms go through a lot postpartum, and I think there's definitely more that can be done besides just a questionnaire that you fill out at the doctor's office.
Absolutely. And that's kind of another reason that I like talking about the motherhood part of it all. I know a lot of people who might listen aren't moms or have no intention of being moms, but just the vulnerability of people who are willing to talk like yourself about this and just be honest about struggling with really anything, mental health or not, taking on a new role in your life. the strain or the strength you get with your partner through these changes, all of that can really help you reflect on your own self. And just especially with motherhood is when I experienced this is just such a shift and reality check that there's this other thing now that's you are responsible for literally every single thing they do. And like we said in the beginning, like you don't know what you don't know. You have no idea what's going to happen. Like you have no idea. It's just so hard to even explain to somebody what being a parent is, honestly, especially those first few weeks. It's like I can't even put it into words. It's just surviving. All of
Yeah.
you just surviving. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, to wrap up this conversation, do you feel like Kelly? Do you feel like a mom? Do you feel like both? Like how do you identify yourself now? Is it different than you expected yourself to be after you had a child? I mean, to give you an example, I definitely take the motherhood role as more of my personality and my identity than I thought I would. It's like half of me now. I kind of felt like, okay, no, I'll always be Kim. I'll always have XYZ like in my day. I'll always do this. And now I'm like, no, I really claim that mother name. And like, it's a lot of me now. Like,
Yeah.
everything I really think about is because of that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I definitely
Mhm.
am the same. People can tell you until they're blue in the face, like how amazing being a mother is, and
Mhm.
you'll never fully understand. I think no one will ever fully understand until like it happens to them.
Mhm.
Um, but I know like people say too that like like once your baby comes, like you still have to like keep your identity and focus on you and keep those things separate. But I think as of right now and how I felt the past 5 months, I would definitely say I feel the same as you. Like I feel like it took me a while to feel myself again, but like
Mhm.
first and foremost, I'm a mother now. So like that's
Right.
I feel like that is my identity. Like I'm a mom, he comes first. And um I would say I feel like more of a mom than anything. So
Mhm. Yeah, it almost feels like you can't prepare for that. I keep saying that, but you can't prepare for even what your identity is. Like you can choose before you have your baby, like this is what I think my life's going to look like, but then you're actually a mom or a parent and it's just a whole new side of you that you're meeting for the first time. So it's like you can't even plan on how you're going to feel or who you're going to be when you're a parent because it's just like I said before, it just unlocks. Like it's like there's a piece of you that hasn't been shown the light yet. And then you're a parent and you're like, oh, this is like cool. Like this is a whole new me, like next to the person I always was. So yeah, and I don't think that it's wrong for anybody to not feel like that or to not want to feel like that. I think everybody's valid in how they feel, but yeah, I think we really are on the same page there with that. Sorry, I talk with my hands so much. I always like get very into my statements. But anyways, okay, well that's great that we have the same type of feeling there. And it's so good to hear that you're having such a great time in motherhood. I'm so happy to hear that.
oh, thank you. It means a lot. I'm
Yeah,
glad
I'm
to
so
see
happy.
your son is so beautiful.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, yours. Oh my goodness. 5 months old. It's just going to get more fun, more smiles, more giggles. It's just, then they sit up and then they roll over and then my
Right? I
son
know.
taking some steps and I'm like, what? Who are
Oh,
you?
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's so fun watching.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
take all the pictures and ask people to take pictures of you, like
Yes,
I
that's
can't
so
say that
important. You wanna
enough.
be able to have yeah, you wanna be able to have those memories and, like, be able to, like, look back and remember and make sure they have those memories too.
Exactly, yeah. Even if you got your hair thrown up and no makeup on, it's worth having the picture.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so excited to get everybody to listen to this because I think it's such an important conversation. And I just loved hearing about your journey into being a mom. It's so inspiring and so honest. And I really appreciate you sharing all of that with us. I know we touched on a lot of different things.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you everybody for listening. And Kelly, I'm sure I'll tag her in a couple things that I'm going to post, but I'm not sure if your Instagram's even like private or not. I'll figure that out later. But thank you for being on, Kelly. I really appreciate it. And for all the listeners, I hope you learned something. I hope it helped you towards just authentic life. That's all we want for you. Sending all the love and support to all the moms listening. Talk to you later.